Hi everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. Today I have a beautiful and elegant explosion box that I think would be just perfect for a bride to give her gift for her bridal party in. And the reason why it's a little different twist on a traditional explosion box is that when you open it up, it actually has a corner component, and in this case, a heart. Perfect for any expression of love. And again, this one is particularly decorated with perhaps a more bridal or wedding theme in mind. Let's get started making this cute version of an explosion box. Our explosion box with the heart corners is made using products from the Falling in Love suite. This is from the 2017 Occasions catalog. And if you visit my blog, createwithdee.com, and search in the January 2017 post, that you can download a free PDF instruction sheet that shows the the products used as well as the overall cutting instructions. So, if you don't want to take notes here at the video, just definitely check out my blog. When I spied that part of the suite included the 12 by 12 cardstock collection that would coordinate with the designer series paper, I'm like, perfect, because I'm really into 3D projects, and 12 by 12s definitely allow us to do more options. So I'm using, in our example here today, I'm using the 12 by 12 Sahara Sand from the Falling in Love cardstock pack. I already have this pre-scored, but what we want to do in order to make the box is we're going to score it in sections of 4 inches. So with on the left-hand side, line it up to the 4-inch, and with the scoring blade, score at 4, and then you can open up your arm and move it over to 8 inches and score it again. And then turn it a quarter of a turn, and we want to score it at 4 inches and 8 inches on the other side as well. With our bone folder, what we want to do is go ahead and burnish all of the fold lines. And in fact, I want to do it in both directions. Cardstock will allow us to, really have some good folds on it. And I find that the box just kind of works better if we fold it and burnish it on all of the sides. So get it nice back and forth. And I've got, one more side to go. So again, that's very important that we do it back and forth. Again, it's just going to help us put the box together a little easier. Next, using the largest heart image from the Sweet and Sassy Heart Framelit set, go ahead and die cut from scrap a heart that you can use for a pattern. And again, it's the largest one of the hearts that has kind of, I'm going to call it this sassy one because it's kind of going to have the one that dips downward a little bit. So before we use our pattern, what we need to do is we need to make a score line from the diagonal here in the corners of each of the corners. Now the Stampin' Trimmer, you can't fold it and manipulate it enough to get it so that you can use the scoring blade. But a way that you want to do it is grab where the score lines meet here and bring the corners together. And when you do that, it'll kind of want to fold on itself anyways. So what I like to do then is kind of start up at the top and just finger press it to kind of get it, and then bring in our bold folder again and give it a nice diagonal. We want to do that on all of the corners. And again, grab the corners, bring it together, kind of finger press it down to that corner, line up the top a little bit, and then you can lay it down on your work surface and press. Now, if it's not exact, it's okay. This has a lot of give to it, or it doesn't have to be exact on the corners. Okay, I'll do the other two off screen. When you get done doing that step, you're going to have something that almost looks like a little bowl. But what we need is we need the inside of the hearts to come inward. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that fold line that we just made, that diagonal one, and we're going to train it to go the other way. So I'm going to kind of flatten these out. And then we just want to, again, have it so that it goes in the opposite direction. So just kind of give that a little pop out. Can you see how it's just like kind of popping out? And then we can get it going, like just how we double use the bone folder on both sides of when we were doing the box, the same as this. So now what we are going to do is all of those corners now like really will tuck in nicely. Can you see how those are just kind of nicely collapsing in? Okay, so that's where we want it. Again, we want it to be the mountain fold facing inward. All right, now we can bring in our pattern. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up the side of the pattern with the center fold here, and the dip in the top of the heart lines up to the score line. And what we want to do is take a pencil and just very lightly trace around our heart image. And we want to stop when we get to the fold line. So when we're done, we just have the top part of the heart. Don't continue down into here. We just are looking for the top section of the heart. And then go ahead and turn your box. Line up your heart again. And trace. Stopping when you get to the fold line on the corner. I have my heart traced on all four corners now, and on the last one I did it a little darker just in case it might show up just a tad bit better. Now with our paper snips, we're going to trim out the heart. And a trick that we discovered when I did this with my local card club, or my girls here, is if you fold the corner in half, it really gives you a symmetrical shape, and you just follow your trace marks along, just half of it. So that way you don't have to fussy cut all of it out. Then you just come up here to the score line where that meets and notch that out. And when you're done, you have that corner shape. Now you'll want to go back through, whoops, there we go. After you do that with all four corners, you do want to go back and erase off any of the lines. But by folding it in half and trimming it, again, you've got a very symmetrical heart then on both of them. And some of the girls, what they found is they did like to just come in and, fussy cut the whole thing out. And you can so do that too if you'd like. I just found it easier, again, just to fold it. And then whether you're right or left-handed, it really doesn't matter. Let's just do one more together here. And we just cut out the trace line that we did. And then I gotta come in on the score line and notch that out. And we'll do it on all four corners. I put another background here so that maybe it would pop a little more so that you can see it. Okay, so we have all of our heart corners trimmed out. And if you kind of push the corners, hearts on the inside, there's the box. And so then we'll make a lid, but we take the lid off and then it'll pop open and you have the corner hearts. Okay, let's decorate. For the decorations for our box, what we're going to need is 4 very vanilla hearts, die cut out of the next size down from the Sweetheart style. So we're going to need 4 of those. Those will be in the corner. And from 1 sheet of our designer series paper from Falling in Love, we're going to cut 9 squares, 3.5 by 3.5. We're going to need 9 squares of Very Vanilla cut at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And 1 of the Sahara Sand cut at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. Also in the suite of products is the Sew and Love Stamp Set and Die Bundle, and I'm going to be using this flower image here to create a background pattern on our hearts. And I am using the Sahara Sand Classic ink. And so I'm just going to go ahead and stamp some random background images on that. The image ties back into the dies and some of the other paper. And this just adds that little extra on the inside of the box when we get decorating it. All right, so I've got those stamped, and while I have the ink and the stamp out, what I'm also going to do is do a random stamping on what's going to be our lid. The dimensions for the lid is our 7 1/8 by 7 1/8, and we'll talk about scoring later on it. But while, again, I have the ink and the stamp out, I'm going to get my images stamped. And I'm staying on this particular one pretty much on the outside because the inside of our box lid we are going to decorate. So we don't need to necessarily stamp the whole thing. So I finished stamping around the edge on it. I'm going to put the lid off to the side for now. And here's our hearts. I'm using the multi-purpose glue for doing all of the, I guess, the gluing down on this project here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to take a nice little bead of glue. I'm barely squeezing it. And I'm going to line up my layering heart right over top of the other one so that it has a nice, look to it. And that really is going to jazz up our corners. We could just use a regular, piece of cardstock with Very Vanilla on it, but it's just the stamping just gives it that little extra elegance, I think. You could also, if you wanted to, if you were doing this project with other paper or even within this paper suite, you could sew, bring in some more designer series paper that coordinates with it. But because I'm kind of thinking bridesmaids or a bridal gift, I'm really trying to stay with the elegant neutral pattern. So I'm keeping with my tan color. Okay, so I think you've got how that goes down. And then because we've got that the score line on there already, it's just time to kind of fold that back and reinforce it. I don't fold it in half like the Very Vanilla one ahead of time because depending on where we layer it, I really want it to match up with what I already have. That one needs maybe just a little more glue on it. So give each one of those a nice little burnish. Next, what we want to do is we want to mat 8 of our designer series paper Falling in Love over top of the Very Vanilla layering pieces. And so we'll just go ahead and put those together. Like so. And again, you'll need 8 of those. Keep one aside because we're going to use one of them for the lid on it to decorate that. And so I've gone ahead and got those done. So I picked 4 of the patterns that I wanted to be on the outside and put those off to the side. And then with the other 4, use those to decorate the outside flaps. And then we do have this one extra Very Vanilla. This is going to be the box bottom. And since I'm planning on putting something on top of it, or this is what it's going to rest on, I'm just going to leave this one plain because something's going to sit on it anyways. And then with doing so, that does free up one of the squares so that I could use it on the top. Now we're going to flip it upside down, and this is going to be the outside of the box. And when we put these on, each time we want to have, like if there's an orientation to the paper, so like I'm going to say this one here, this looks like a little branch. this is right side up when we put the box together. So what I would recommend, especially if you're making this box again and your paper might have a pattern that needs to be right side up for sure, is when you place that down, you know, so that's going to be up. Just keep turning it so that you remember which side's going to be right side up, if that makes sense. Probably not so much. Really, just keep turning it so that you're working with the images going in the direction that you want. And then that way you won't, you know, glue everything down and then say, oh shoot, I put something in upside down. So again, I'm just keep turning it so that the square that's on the top of my scrap paper is going to, you know, I know it's going to be the top of the box. Look how gorgeous this is already. Whoops. And one more, just so we can do it together. Okay, so that's the outside of the box. Yeah, there we go. Pretty, pretty. Okay, look how gorgeous that is. Oh, you know, what bridal party would not want to receive this, or, you know, a bride or whatever. I think that actually I've got two weddings. Two of my nephews are getting married in 2017, and, you know, probably the one that's getting married first will get this one. So pretty. And I've got to do a little better gluing job on here. I was in a hurry for you guys. Okay, we'll get on to the next step. I'm going to add some fancy, delicate images here with the So Detailed Thinlits and the, again, using the stamp set to coordinate. And I've gone ahead just for time purposes, and I've already done that. But with this die image, we're going to need 4 of those. And then we want to stamp and then die cut around another of the image, and this one reads, Just for You. With our paper snips, what we want to do is trim off the solid piece that's on the bottom of it. Typically that piece is for wrapping it around and behind a layering element, but for this project I found that it's better just to not even have that extra piece, and we create these 4 sections of this gorgeous lace look. If you've worked much with some of these delicate die cuts, you know that it's always a struggle to figure out the right type of glue to put them on. Well, fellow demonstrators have discovered this brilliant technique using stamping sponge and our Tombow. So with your silicone craft sheet, put a little bit of Tombow down and take a stamp and sponge and cut it into a 1/4, and then I use a binder clip to hold it into place. And you want to pick up some of that Tombow off of your silicone sheet. And then because I'm doing multiple and multiples, you want to, you know, not put it, you're going to turn the image upside down. And I grab a parchment paper when it's these larger images like this. And what we're going to do is just pounce straight up and down with our Tombow. And we want to try not to move it around because we don't want to get glue on the front side of it, getting down towards the edges. We are going to trim some of this off, but now as you can see, it's tacky, but there's no glue that's going to come off to the side. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you to whoever was the first one that came up with that. And then what we want to do is we're going to apply it on the bottom part of the box, on the side panels. Whoops. And I've got one little hole here that wasn't poked out, or one little section. There we go. Okay, so just fold in the hearts and hang on to it, and then line it up towards the edge or the bottom. And we're going to have this beautiful little lace overlay on it. And, you know, I always have done this after the fact, guys. And it's like, it just dawned on me that, oh, you know, I could have done this before I put the panels on the box. Such a goofball. Such a goofball. But this way it works just fine too. I'm just trimming up the edge of it, of our little lace, so that it is pretty flush with the Very Vanilla. And you can come in here and kind of trim up some of those tails too. I'll show you one that we went all the way side to side, and I think that's probably why I have this way of doing it. Look how gorgeous that is. Oh my gosh. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And no glue coming through. Hooray! And while we have our glue out, we're going to go ahead and make the top part of the box lid. And so just the same, we're going to put our glue down and pick it up with our Stampin' Sponge. And we're going to pounce on the image. Alrighty. So again, this is going to be the top. And if I hit it just right on the very edge, it's just like all of the lace shows. Oh gosh, you guys, I just love this. It's so pretty. And then I flip it over upside down and trim off the extras on the back. And what's kind of nice too with this technique is that it's almost repositionable for a little while. And so if you do need to, pull it up gently and reposition it, you can. So pretty. All right, so now we're going to layer that, our top piece. Come on, glue, get started here. So we'll layer that onto now our Sahara Sand matting piece. That'll be our very top of our box lid. Okay, pretty. Okay, so on our box lid, what I do is I do have it scored on all 4 sides at 1 1/2. So again, the box lid is 7 1/8 by 7 1/8. And it's probably easier to see on the back side since I've stamped. But what we want to do is with our paper snips, we'll come up and go from score line to score line to where that intersects. These are making our box tabs. Turn it around 180 degrees, and on the other side, same thing. Snip up to where the score lines intersect. Okay, so these are going to be our little tabs here for our box. And what I like to do, and so many like to do, is on the tab, we're going to take a little V-notch out of it. It just helps lining it up a little better. So there's no right or wrong, just take a little V out of either side of it, and I'll do it on all 4 corners. So I have all of them notched now, and with my bone folder, I did go through and burnish all of the score lines. And you can use tear and tape for the corners if you'd like, but I have Tombow out, the multi-purpose glue, so I'm just going to keep going with that. And so I'm going to tuck the edges together and hold it for just a second. Now let that get into place. Again, put a little bit of Tombow, the multi-purpose glue, on the corners. Line up the edges and hold it for just a second. And then I'll do the other 2. I put 8 Stampin' Dimensional foam dots on the back of our sentiment. And I'm going to layer that on the top of our lid. Oops, get it centered a little better. Putting dimensionals on it just helps, give it that little extra dimension on the top, that little special. Okay, so now let's put it all together. Fold in the corners first and kind of come in on one side with your lid. I can do this better when I'm not trying to go around a camera, but just kind of squish it all together and put the lid on it. You won't have to go through all of that. Oh my gosh, look how beautiful that is. Who would not want to have that? So gorgeous. And then there are some little embellishments there that we can add on to give a little extra bling. It's the Falling in Love embellishments. And it's got a little sparkle, and you know, all weddings need a little sparkle. And so with the glue dot on the back of it, we can place it wherever we would like. So now you'd be ready for, you know, a bridal gift, or like I keep saying, I think this is a perfect bridal party gift. This is waiting for them at the reception dinner, or the rehearsal dinner, I should say, at their place settings. And then they open it up, and inside is probably a little jewelry box that has, you know, the wedding party's jewelry that a lot of brides will give their bridal party. Well, I hope you enjoyed making this different take on an explosion box where we added a shape on the corner, and also to give some of you brides to be an idea of what you might be able to do for a bridal party gift, and or if you are going to go to a bridal shower or a wedding, something that you can put your gift card or a small gift inside for the bride. Thanks for watching, everybody, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.